The wheels do indeed keep turning on. Babz Rawls-Ivy. Welcome to LoveBabz, LoveTalk. This is the second hour where I have a guest. I'm delighted to have Garrett Sheehan. He's the president and CEO of the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce. And welcome.
Thanks, Babz. Great to see you.
It's nice to see you. I know that you have an extensive economic development background, and you are leading this Chamber of Commerce through some rocky times. But you're really here today to talk about, you've got a job fair coming up, or an internship fair, or something coming up that y'all wanted to really talk about. And I'm very interested in it because when what's her name? Carrie? Is that her name?
Katie, yep.
When she sent me the information, I was like, "Ooh, this sounds interesting. Let's talk about this." So, hello, good morning.
Hello.
How you doing?
Very good, very good. No, I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about it. And, workforce, even as we've gone through this pandemic, is so critical for so many of our industries. Go all the way from restaurants, hospitality, manufacturing. Everyone is looking for workers to fill open positions that they have. Which is a good problem to have. But, what we're trying to do at the Chamber is connect those people who are looking for work with the positions that are open so that we can continue to have growth here in the Greater New Haven region. So we have a few different things going on. We just a week ago had a internship and career fair and had a great turnout of lots of students, people seeking jobs, seeking careers. We had over 40 employers who had booths, took in resumes, started having conversations with folks. That was really exciting to see. And then the other program we have going on that you were mentioning is we've been working with a lot of the bioscience companies here in Greater New Haven. And really the leadership of those companies have come together over the last year, and they said, we want to put a spotlight on how many companies we have here and the opportunities that exist. So what we help them do is pull together a landing page, a website with all of the internship opportunities that exist in bioscience for the summer coming up. Some of those have already been filled. Some haven't been posted yet. As the companies come across those, they're putting those up onto this website. But it's a great opportunity to first identify how many opportunities there are, because we really are a growing bioscience sector here in Greater New Haven. But then also to create a more clear process for how do you get into one of those positions. Before it would have been just each company would post their internship opportunity, so you'd have to go to each individual company to find that. Now it's all in one place. So if you're interested in getting a start in a bioscience career, this is a great place to start.
Oh, so did the pandemic cause you to, let me say this. Has the Chamber always been this directly involved in employment matters at this level? Or did the pandemic cause you to pivot and to, because of the membership saying, listen, we need more help with this?
Well, it really was before the pandemic. We were hearing from all of our businesses that they needed, talent was really the most critical thing to their business. We do an economic development program. It's supported by the Regional Water Authority. So we go out, visit with about 100 businesses a year, find out what's going on with your business. Are you growing? Are you contracting? Are you thinking about expanding in Greater New Haven? And if so, what are some of those barriers? And the vast majority of companies pre-pandemic were answering, talent, available workers. And that's not something that's unique to Connecticut or Greater New Haven, but it is going to be now and into the future the differentiating factor between communities. It's really a competitive advantage if you have talented workers that are right there that can fill these positions, and you can be an attractive place where people want to come because they say, hey, there's a lot of jobs. So they really build off of each other. So to answer your question, we were starting to have these conversations before the pandemic hit. We didn't know what that would happen during those, especially those first 6 months of the pandemic when everything was just in disarray. We really didn't know which way was up. But as we started to do the recovery, again, finding qualified candidates, finding positions, getting people into jobs really shot right to the top again as one of the key critical factors for all of our employers.
So talk to me about the number of bio companies here, because I don't think I hear much about this in press. So where are they? What does it look like? What are the numbers? What are we talking?
So, there are different ways that companies can be classified. Companies are involved in bioscience in different ways, and there's a lot of crossover between, is that more on the healthcare side or the medical device side? But, roughly speaking, we have about 25 companies in our region that are working on therapeutics, different types of drug discovery. Not all of those are doing lab operations here. You have some of the larger, probably more recognizable names of companies are Venus, Alexion, AstraZeneca, Biohaven. These are companies that have had success, early on success, especially in the case of Alexion, AstraZeneca, a very well-known company that continues to add jobs in our region. And these other companies like Biohaven that started to have a lot of success with their Nurtec drug, are Venus that's continuing to expand. But then there's a lot of smaller companies that are still in that discovery research stage. And in fact, Arvinas is still proving out a lot of their drug concepts as well, as are these other companies. But they could be a office of 10, 20 people. So it's not a very large company. But if the drug that they're researching is successful, you could immediately have a big expansion, like we've seen with the Biohavens and the Arvinas types of companies here in our region. So there's some very small ones. There's some well-established ones. But we definitely, each year we see more and more opportunities with these types of companies. A lot of them come from Yale, but there's also starting to be a growing sense of that there's opportunity here. You see people that are involved in one of these existing companies, they branch off, start their own new company. So we're starting to get those natural synergies that occur when you have a real cluster of an industry.
So it sounds quite exciting. So they get together, you all create a website specifically for the corralling of the internships so that people can go to one place and find all the internships around this particular industry.
That's right.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So what sort of people are they looking for? Like, is this a connection through schools? Like, do you want students? Do you want people from Workforce Alliance? Like, what is the quality and caliber of the people that you're looking for?
Well, I'd say in most cases with the internships, in the majority of them, they're coming from college, but that's Gateway, that's any of the colleges. But I don't want to, for any individual internship opportunity, it's someone who is not coming from the college setting may be able to get that. So I don't want to discourage anyone from applying. But that's the main group. But it's not, you don't have to be a PhD. You don't have to be a scientist either. A lot of these are on the business side. So there's marketing positions, there's accounting, business development. There are some lab research positions as well. So it's a good mix. A lot of these companies, as I was saying before, they don't necessarily have a lab right here. They may be contracting out some of that lab work somewhere else to a private contractor. It's the marketing development of the drug that occurs here in New Haven, a lot of the management, investment relations, business strategy. So things like that. So it's really a wide array of different types of opportunities that exist.
So Garrett, is Greater New Haven doing all it can to be attractive to these kind of bioscience companies coming here?
I think we are. It's it's a challenging thing because someone, a lot of times the way it happens is it starts with someone's idea that may start at a university. So it's not as much of a recruitment play as maybe there's a manufacturing company somewhere else. Someone's trying to recruit that company to end up there. But because we have Yale, we have other science that's occurring here. A lot of those ideas are occurring in New Haven, and people are starting companies here. And as I was saying, it starts to naturally with people who are in the industry already working with companies. They come up with an idea. But as we become more of a cluster, then it does start to become attractive to someone who may be located in a different state and say, boy, there's a growing bioscience community there in Greater New Haven. I think that'd be a great place for my business. We are a low-cost option compared to Boston. Boston is a huge bioscience market, but you can have much better costs, whether it's lab space, even for the employees, their housing costs a lot lower. So that's attractive, and we're getting to that point of where we have enough activity here. For instance, if you're moving here for a bioscience job, you want to know that that's not the only bioscience company. So if you decide to switch positions, doesn't mean you have to move out of state. You could switch to another company within New Haven. And then also, as you start to have so many of these companies, the different types of service companies and activities that they need to support them start to decide that they need to have a location here as well. So it's been going on for a long time. There's been many people that have been a part of this process over the last decade, 2 decades. To build up this industry. We're just starting to see more and more of that progress and trying at the chamber to be able to highlight that so that people know. And I think a big opportunity here is to get more of our New Haven residents, more people who live here involved in this bioscience industry as it takes off.
How large is the membership of the chamber, of the Greater New Haven Chamber?
We have approximately 800 members in the Greater New Haven area. And one of the things that's occurred through the pandemic, though, is we really reached out to all businesses. So I always tell everyone this, even if you're not a member of the chamber, but you're in Greater New Haven, we're representing you as a business organization. We're bringing the concerns of our businesses, whether that be to the state capitol, to our federal delegation. We're addressing issues that exist here. The value of being a member is we're going to really help you make those connections to the companies you need to talk to, potential customers. And by being part of the chamber, you get engaged in the activities we're doing and you support and lift up the entire business community. But our doors are open to everyone. One of the great things that happened with us is we started doing a lot more webinars. So we post all of those to our YouTube page. A lot of them are things that will help any type of business, especially around when PPP was there. We were doing a lot of training sessions about how you can access those dollars. But we have so many great members that have a lot of expertise. So we try to feature that, focus that. And those are things that anyone can access through our webpage.
So talk to me a little bit about the changing nature of the business climate. I mean, you have an 800 member membership body, and everybody's needs are a little bit different. How do you gauge business climate, political climate, and needs of all these folks?
Well, I'm working on that every day. It is a challenge because we don't represent just one industry. As you mentioned, we're representing all these different groups, all the way from a small one business person to a large public corporation that may have a location here in Greater New Haven. I think everyone wants access and opportunity in business. They want to have a chance to make their business successful. And so those cut across no matter what industry you're in. I'm very optimistic about what's happening in New Haven and Greater New Haven. I think we always have great opportunity here. It's a matter of seizing upon it. There's a lot of exciting projects that are going on. We've been big supporters of the airport and being able to have those Avelo flights that are coming in and out, and hoping to add more business destinations. That brings more economic activity. So there's lots of great opportunities here in New Haven and the region, and just trying to make sure that we take advantage of all those opportunities that are before us. So things like workforce development, trying to build those talent pipelines. So if companies are coming here, we can say that that the employees that you're looking for are going to be here and available to you. And so some of the things we do around that is really just organizing the business community to be able to share with all of our talent providers, whether that's Gateway Community College, the universities, Workforce Alliance. What are the skills that companies are looking for, so that the potential employees can really match up well with the opportunities that exist. That's the reason why we do economic development, to make sure that the businesses that we're working with, that the challenges they're facing, that we're bringing those to the elected officials, so that those can be taken care of, can be addressed, or we can at least understand the source of the issue so that we can make them more successful in business.
That's what I was going to ask you about, the political nature of things. I mean, Greater New Haven is a very political community, right? We know our elected officials very well. We see them out. We can connect to them. When I was an alderman, I used to hear all the time, well, Connecticut is not business friendly. It's not, it's not attractive enough for some of these bigger companies to come. But I've seen over the last few years, the last decade or so, is that New Haven has turned out to be a great incubating space for businesses and companies. Are you seeing more of that kind of trend? And does Connecticut feel like a business welcoming state?
Yeah, it's, historically we have had that moniker of that there's been challenges in attracting business. A lot of it comes down to communication. And one of the things that we try to do at the chamber is get our elected officials in front of as many businesses as we can, so that, as they're crafting policy and legislation and they're trying to take care of constituents, that they understand how certain things impact the business community or how that comes across to the business community. A lot of it is in the regulation, how that is itself managed, and what's the relationship between regulators and business. Not to say that there shouldn't be regulation, but there's a way of, it's either this is the our way or the highway, or okay, we understand what the business is trying to do. How can we make sure that we achieve what the business goals are and achieve the regulation? So a lot of it's communication. I think we've had from the governor on down, there's been a great tone of that we want to be welcome to business. We want to hear the needs of business. I think just through the pandemic, at every level, our legislative officials, heard from small business and saw directly the challenges that they were facing. And I think that's going to have a really positive effect going forward. Everyone's been focused on, how did we get businesses back open? How do we deal with their workforce shortages? How have some of these regulations that we had to impose during the pandemic, how did those impact business? So I think that awareness it changes the paradigm in a lot of ways. And I hope that we can continue to have those open levels of communication. Things like when it just gets put out there, hey, we're going to tax business more. Those are those kind of negative comments that hurt. And, there always can be a conversation about where revenue comes from. But I think when you separate different groups and we say we're gonna add more taxes to business, a lot of times that doesn't even go through, but it's that comment, that push. So again, the more communication we can have between businesses, because business can really lead our growth for our state. The more businesses we have, the more people that are employed, the more taxes that are generated.
Now, do you have a mind to have conversations with education systems, from the public school system to Gateway to the elite universities and colleges in the greater New Haven area? I mean, we are very higher education rich.
We are
we are very high education rich. But do you have conversations with them about ready a workforce for the trends and coming future, about what work will look like and what jobs will be available?
Yeah, no, definitely. We're extremely engaged with all of the universities within our region. I think that's one of those things that makes Greater New Haven great, is the amount of university students and the proximity of all of them to New Haven and to the center of New Haven. There's a buzz in New Haven all the time because there's just lots of young people that are around, that are engaged in our city. And so we have great relationships with all 6 of those institutions of higher education. We're communicating with them. They communicate a lot with us. They understand how important it is to be in step with business so that they know exactly what the businesses need. That really shapes the education and what they provide. And there's been a much bigger push in academics to make sure that connection between jobs and business is strong, between what's being taught the skills that are being learned at the university. So we're trying to be that bridge as a chamber all of the time. When I have these conversations about workforce, all of our universities are at the table. And you also mentioned New Haven Public Schools and other K through 12 throughout the region. I mean, that's our future. The chamber is really involved in the citywide science fair. We help administer that. They're another partner that we talk to when we're talking about these workforce conversations, because there's the students that are in the universities and the colleges, they're ready to go, but not everyone's going to go to college, not everyone's going to go to a university, and not all the jobs that are out there require those skills. And so the more that we can engage with the public school system to let students know what the opportunities are out there, what chances they have, and if they work hard, these are the jobs that you can have at the end of that. I think the better off we are.
So, what is it that excites you about this work that you're doing?
Well, I think it's where we are. It's Greater New Haven. I mean, this is a tremendous canvas that we have as a city, as a region. And one of the things that I talk about all the time is we have to tell the complete story. We have a great story in New Haven about bioscience companies, higher education, the community that's here. But New Haven, and this is a Connecticut story, is all of our cities and our towns are relatively small when you look to other parts of the country. And so it's really a collective story that goes all the way up to Wallingford, where we have a lot of manufacturing that goes on, distribution, the Amazon Center in North Haven. When you go out to Guilford, Madison, Branford, there's a lot of bioscience companies out there. There's manufacturing in Milford. So telling that complete story to the world of everything that we have going on here in Greater New Haven, that's what excites me. And now that we have the airport much more active, we have this great rail system that connects you to New York City. We have tremendous intellectual activity that occurs in New Haven. So there's lots of opportunity, and do we seize on that opportunity over the next year, 2 years, 5 years, to really grow New Haven, but to have wealth and economic wealth that is spread throughout the entire community. We don't want it just centered in downtown New Haven. It needs to reach all of the neighborhoods, that we have this equalizing of the wealth and the gains that we're able to make here. So that's what excites me, the opportunity that we have for economic growth in Greater New Haven.
So when I think about economic growth, I mean, as an old legislator, I can't help but think about transportation and how important that is, because you can bring all the jobs here that you want, but if people can't get to those jobs, then it's almost like not having any jobs. So do you get to weigh in on matters of local public transportation? You know what I mean? Like the bus system. I think we've done a great job with having great conversations about the rail system, right? About connecting the shoreline to New York and Danbury, all these places. But I don't know if we've done a good job of really creating a transportation hub where people can get on buses and shuttles and get to where they need to get, in a timely manner.
I agree. And what I hear from employers more is thoughtfulness about the employee's entire situation. So, not just, hey, the employee shows up at work, they work here, but, what are those other factors that are causing them problems in their life or are limiting them? And so I think there is more awareness of how does someone get here to this office, to this work site? I don't have the perfect answer as to what happens with the bus system, but we do engage with those conversations. I know just a couple of years ago that there was the new study on changes to the bus system here in New Haven, and it plays a critical role in getting people to work. And everything has changed in how people get to work. There's a lot of people who still need to be in the office, and now we also have opportunities where people can work from home. But when we talk from work from home, they need to be able to have good access to internet, high-speed internet, and things like that. So I do think, in the groups that I represent, the businesses, bringing that business conversation to the table, I think there's more awareness on the business side of the complete picture of what's going on with the employee.
So are you getting a sense that businesses are feeling much more hopeful now that we seem to be moving to another level with this pandemic? Like things are starting to open up and people starting to, the mass mandates are starting to lessen a little bit. I mean, what are you hearing out there from your membership?
Well, I think we're all individually much more hopeful. I know at least I speak for myself. Uh, Businesses have adapted over the last 2 years, and so it was such a time of. I remember back to the early days of the pandemic. I mean, you had to change with the news pretty much every day, and then it was every week. And so, business is innovative. They're nimble. They made the changes they needed to keep their business going. That could be a restaurant that moved more of their business to takeout, all the way to industry that shifted to more of an online model. So a lot of those things have happened, and businesses have found a way to be successful, and for the most part, have adapted to the new normal. I think what everyone's excited about is that the ability to bring people together more than we have over the last year. I expect we're going to have a lot more people in offices in New Haven over the coming months. Just even at the chamber, our ability to do more of our events. We did all of our major events last year in person, but we expect this year we'll be able to do a lot more small networking events where people, not that we didn't want to do those before, but that there's a lot of interest in people getting together and feeling comfortable being able to do that. So I think that benefits business in innumerable amounts of ways to be able to have those connections. I've been saying it for the last couple of years. We found ways to do business online and virtually over Zoom, but business is better in person. When you can see someone right there, you can understand, get a better sense of all of their expressions, and you just have a better connection when you're able to connect in person. So we'll take everything that we gained from the pandemic on the positive side, different ways to work, different smarter ways, more flexibility, but being able to get back to that in person is going to be great.
Mm. And so, what are you hearing from your member chamber of commerces across the country? Like what I mean, I'm sure y'all gather or have conferences and connect and talk, whether it's regionally or across the country. What are you hearing from other chambers?
Well, I think chambers are just like business. Had to make adjustments over the last few years, and for us, and from what I hear from a lot of other people, is really making sure that you're that valuable resource to the business community. And that was what worked for us during the pandemic, was just being an information source, quite frankly, as so many things were changing, and getting that information out to people. And just like we started this conversation, the other big topic is workforce. And I know so many chambers are working on topics like that. And that really, for us as a chamber, and there's a trend of this of many chambers across the country, making sure that we're really working on those substantive issues to try to address economic growth. The chamber is always going to be about connections and networking, bringing people together. But we're also excited to be able to contribute to work on things like this life science sprints internship program, to have an economic development program sponsored by Regional Water Authority. Jesse Phillips on our team is our inclusive growth coordinator, and we're able to do that because of the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven. So to really be able to be in the community, to be active, to support the growth of the region, and still be that connection place for business is really important to us.
So before I let you go, so what do you think the future of the chamber is? What does the future look like?
Well, I think the future is going to continue to be guided by our business community. We've found some things that work right now. We have to continue to be nimble and ready to change and move with business at the speed of business to be able to address their needs. But it is being this information center. It's continuing to be actively engaged in different types of conversations about what comes next, how we can grow the economy. And the growth of the economy is great for our business community. And if that's good for the business community, then it's good for the chamber.
Thank you so much. How long have you been in this big chair?
It's just over 4 years now, just 4 years and a couple days. So,
and you're still loving it.
I still love it. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster 4 years, but a great time.
Well, I mean, you came at a time just before the pandemic, I believe, right? And now,
that's right.
And then you got like right in the middle of it. And it's like, oh, And now we're it's looking like we might be coming from underneath that, and so I'm sure all businesses are trying to breathe a sigh of relief, tentatively, about
You're
what
right.
we
You're right.
do.
It feels good.
So
It really does. Thank you, Babs.
thank you so much, Garrett. I so appreciate this conversation, and anytime you guys want to come back on and talk about whatever it is y'all are doing, feel free to make this your home.
Oh, definitely. And let me give the web address for that. It's
Please, please.
lifesci sprints.com. So that's LIFESCISPRINTS.com. That's the website to go on and see all those internship opportunities that exist.
Thank you so much.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. And say hi to your team. They're wonderful to coordinate with.
I will. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Harry. Another day, another show, another good conversation. We're on our way out. I can't hear you.
It sounds like they've been busy.
Yes, I think the chamber has been busy, but you know what? These businesses needed a lighthouse, because everybody was, this was something nobody's ever faced before. And nobody wants to be alone going through all these challenges. And I think the chamber was a steady hand for businesses, a steady place, a lighthouse, if you will, to sort of getting information out to people, helping people, maneuver these waters. And it was rocky. So high five to the Chamber of Commerce of Greater New Haven.
Yeah, I got to drop by one of these days and see the new team over there.
That means you'd have to walk across the green.
Yeah, you're right.
That means you have to walk. I tell you one thing. They've got the prettiest offices of anybody because they've got that beautiful view of the green.
Yeah, it's right.
One of my favorite views from up there.
I actually had the corner office right over Church and Chapel.
Oh,
so I used to look over the green right there. Those are some beautiful offices.
Yes. So, all right, Harry, we had a good conversation today. I so appreciate it. And tomorrow we have Delta Authors on Tour returns tomorrow. And we have a bunch of conversations, and no word on the street for Friday, which I think the word on the street today was a great capstone for the week.
Yep.
Great capstone. So, all right. I'll see you. If I don't see you at the soup kitchen, I'll see you up at the chamber.
All right. Thank you for listening to LoveBabz Love Talk on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio.
Into the